Good evening, and welcome to the latest happenings inside our federal machine.
Good evening, y'all. It is Monday, December the 22nd, 2025. Just 3 days left until Christmas. This is Spathon with another episode of The Swamp. Today, President Trump announced a new class of battleship that will be ready for combat by the early 2030s. The first constructed will be named the Trump-class battleship USS Defiant. And also during the same speech, Trump hinted that the United States will probably keep all of the seized oil from Venezuela and maybe even use it to replenish our petroleum reserves. And FBI Director Kash Patel announced the grand opening of the FBI's new high-performance training center in Quantico, Virginia. And the Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem made the announcement that illegal immigrants who self-deport by the end of the year will receive a $3,000 cash bonus. Also, Rep. Ilhan Omar is now bragging about the legislation that she put out, which made it easy for Somalis to defraud the state of Minnesota. And Reid Soskin, she was the oldest active park ranger in the National Parks Service, and she sadly passed away on Sunday at the age of 104. The age she reached by the time she decided to retire will probably shock you. And finally, the White House announced that all offshore wind turbine leases are hereby paused effective immediately, citing national security concerns. And there's a lot more that happened today, so we're going to dive straight in. And if you enjoy the video, please give the video a quick like if you have a second, and consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the daily updates. And I might just read your comment on the next episode if you decide to drop a comment in this video. And also, any and all articles that I will click on will be linked below in the description. We're going to start right here with Secretary of the Navy John C. Phelan. The future Trump-class battleship USS Defiant will be the largest, deadliest, most versatile, and best-looking warship anywhere on the world's oceans. I want to thank the president for his vision to make this game-changing capability a reality for America's Navy.
As Commander-in-Chief, it is my great honor to announce that I have approved a plan for the Navy to begin the construction of two brand new, very large, the largest we've ever built, battleships. These are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built. So if you look at the Iowa, the Missouri, Wisconsin, Alabama, and others, but they were similar in size, some a little bit bigger than the others, but if you take the biggest one, it's 100 times more powerful. These cutting-edge vessels will be some of the most lethal surface warfare ships. Once completed, these new 30 to 40,000 ton plus vessels will be the flagships of the American naval fleet, and there has never been anything built like them. And I just want to be very clear that we're building them here. The battleships are going to be armed just
made the USA.
In terms of
damn well better
guns and missiles at the highest level. They'll also have hypersonic weapons, many hypersonic weapons, state-of-the-art electric rail guns.
Like the sound of that.
And even the high-powered lasers that you've been starting to read about.
Oh yeah, man, lasers.
Where you aim the laser at a target, it just wipes it out.
We got the Space Force now. Why not?
We're going to have, they'll be the most sophisticated lasers in the world, and the most sophisticated laser in the world will be on the battleships that we're building. They'll also carry the nuclear armed, sea-launched cruise missiles currently under development, which will be instituted pretty quickly, but they're under development, and they've proven to be extremely lethal. We're going to restore America as a major shipbuilding power. We're going to ensure the USA is the most powerful fleet anywhere in the world, and long into the future, with battleships helping lead the way, and the submarines that, again, nobody competes with us on submarines. So,
oh, well, no, man. We're top of the world when it comes to the Navy. I wonder if they're also going to put that microwave device that they've been developing that just blasts all the drones out of the sky, because that's one of the biggest problems that's coming up with 21st century warfare is the whole drone capability that other countries have. And some countries, they apparently have the ability to send hundreds of drones to a battlefield and essentially swarm their enemy like a pissed off hornet's nest, and just basically overrunning it with drones, making it impossible to just like shoot them out of the sky one at a time. So we've got this beam directed microwave device. I showed a video of it about a week ago on this show, and they point it in a general direction, and I don't remember the exact angle. It's like 20 degrees or 30 degrees, like in a cone, whatever direction it points out, wherever drones are. They just hit a button, and every single one of those drones just instantly falls out of the sky because it just sends this high, I think it's microwave energy, something like that, but I'm sure that thing will probably, the Trump-class USS Defiant, I bet it'll have that on there. All right, so I got this one also from the Department of State. This is from 2 hours ago, Secretary Rubio, and he's talking about Americans' industrial power returning. So let's hear what Secretary Rubio has to say.
Industrial power returning. This is the ability, once again, to rebuild, to have industry in the United States. This is generational in the change, not just in terms of applying American war power, increasing our ability to protect the seas. The U.S. Navy is the single biggest source of peace in the world of all of our forces because it gives us a global footprint. But it rebuilds American industrial capacity. The ability to make things again in our country has been critical to what the president's agenda has been all about, and this is a tangible reminder of it. And I know the country is grateful for it, and generations of Americans will be grateful for it. This is American industrial power returning. This is the ability, once again.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't even catch that. It started over. All right. So I got this one from Megatron. Just in, Trump says the U.S. will keep the oil from the seized Venezuelan oil tanker. We're going to keep it.
Reid Soskin with Most Peaceful.media. You just referenced the lower amount of illegal drugs that are coming by sea, and you just said that you're going to start that same program on land soon. Are you just referring to Venezuela, or are you referring
on land
to other countries in Latin America?
Anywhere drugs are pouring in, anywhere, not just Venezuela.
Anywhere.
No.
Good.
Yes.
Speaking of Venezuela, oil, what are we going to do with the oil that we have?
Going to do with what?
The oil that has been seized. The United States seized 1.9 million barrels of oil on December 10th.
We're going to keep it.
We're going to keep it.
We're keeping it.
Where's it going? Are we going to sell it or put it in the strategic oil
Maybe we'll
reserve?
sell it. Maybe we'll keep it. Maybe we'll use it in the strategic reserves. We're keeping it. We're keeping the ships also. Yeah, please.
I think that's a wonderful idea. That'd be a final FU to Joe Biden. Yeah, we're going to put all the Venezuela oil into our strategic petroleum reserve since the Biden administration basically sucked it all dry. Okay, from Gunther Eagleman, Trump just sent shockwaves through the entire world after this. He just made it clear that any country shipping poisons into our country could face direct consequences, just like Venezuela. This is how you stop the flow and save American lives. We might have
you just referenced the lower.
Holy shit, man! I'm so sorry. This fucking shit, man. Absolutely ridiculous. This came from Rapid Response 47. I'm assuming that these also came from Rapid Response originally. So, my bad. I kept the volume up because I just assumed that it was going to be like the other ones. All right, so I guess I'll be more careful next time. Sorry, RIP earbuds.
Speaking of Venezuela, oil, what are we going to do with the oil that we have?
Going to do with what?
The oil that has been seized.
Oh, wait, hold on. So we already got that one, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So we did already hear that. All right, so breaking. Secretary of War Pete X says, just mic dropped every Democrat in America. There are no fishing poles, no fishermen, and no fishing boats. Just drug dealers and narco-terrorists, and with every strike, we are saving American lives. Look, if you've been watching my show for a period of time, I've said that so many times, over and over again. Every time that they show the footage, or every time they release the footage, I show it on this show. I don't think that I've missed any yet. And every single time that we're looking at these narco-terrorist vessels getting blown up by the U.S. military, they've got it zoomed in on the drone's camera on the boat that they're about to blow up. You don't see any fishing supplies on there. You don't see any fishing nets, no fishing rods, none of the sort. All you see in most cases are these oddly squared shaped package looking boxes, or I mean, they're drugs. It's exactly what they're shipping. They're shipping a shitload of drugs that are just piled up on the boat that they're traveling with. So anyway, let's hear what see what Secretary Hegseth has to say. Secretary of War. Well, see, now it's too fucking quiet.
No fishermen and no fishing poles. You're exactly right. There are no fishing poles, no fishermen, and no fishing boats. Just drug dealers and narco-terrorists. And with every strike, we're saving American lives. No other president was willing to do real deterrence. That's exactly what's happening. It's an honor to be here, Mr. President, Mr. Secretary.
As I've said here on The Swamp at least 10 freaking times, I've said that over and over again. because that's the big pushback with the Democrats and also Senator Rand Paul. They say, well, there's no definitive way to know that they're even smuggling drugs. So maybe they're just simply transporting. It could be fish, or they could be just taking a simple ride from one place to the next. It's like, dude, if you actually look at the footage, I would say at least 80% of the vessels, it's pretty clear that they've got a big pile of drugs on these vessels. Are they going directly to the United States? No, because these vessels that they're on, they use outboard motors. And if you haven't seen these vessels before on this footage released by the military, they're not the type of vessels that are going to travel 1,000, 2,000 miles, at least not without having to refill with gas a dozen times. So they're clearly traveling to a neighboring country to Venezuela, where they're using it, I'm assuming, as a jumping off point, pretty much, stoning their way toward the United States with smuggling their drugs. But anyway, I'll go ahead and move on. This is from FBI Director Kash Patel. Grand opening for the FBI's High Performance Training Center at Quantico. This next-gen training space is built for the realities our agents and staff face daily. Elite conditioning, modern recovery, and mission-ready performance. Our people deserve the best tools to defend the homeland and crush violent crime. We're grateful to all those across FBI who made this day possible. And they've got some images of the grand opening, man. The fitness center, an elite fitness center, it appears. So they got it. They're cutting the tape, or whatever the hell you call that, cutting the ribbon cutting ceremony. All right, so that happened today. And we've got this from FBI Director Kash Patel. There's going to be a few of these because he did state the other day that every day he's going to provide an update to the American public with what the FBI has done this year and or plan on doing in the year to come. And of course, we just went through the weekend. I don't do the swamp over the weekend. It's just Monday through Friday. So there's Saturday and Sunday's posts that I'm going to share. They're not very long. They're just brief posts. So anyway, from this one, December 20th, updating FBI technology using AI. The FBI has been working on key technology advances to keep us ahead of the game and respond to an always changing threat environment, both domestically and on the world stage. Artificial intelligence is a key component of this. We've been working on an AI project to assist our investigators and analysts in the national security space, staying ahead of bad actors and adversaries who seek to do us harm. FBI leadership implemented a technology working group led by FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino to ensure our technology tools evolve with the mission. These are investments that will pay dividends for America's national security for decades to come. And we've got another one from December the 21st. Improved biometrics. The FBI undertook a project earlier this year to vastly expand our overseas biometrics program, helping stop bad actors before they board a plane or vessel to the United States. This gives us the ability to expand the border outwards and cut off adversaries who seek to do us harm before they're able to enter the country. We've worked with partners across the federal government at DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and Customs and Border Protection, and more, as well as our overseas counterparts, to implement improvements at every level. These are the types of improvements and investments under this administration that will make America's border and national security stronger than ever before. And finally, we've got from December the 22nd, today, FBI CJIS adoption of Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFE. The FBI's Criminal Justice Information Services, or CJIS, division is our hub that works with law enforcement all across the country to meet the needs of the public. For example, a police officer who needs a subject's criminal history, a citizen exercising their Second Amendment right to bear arms, or someone calling to report a federal crime, all of which the CJIS division oversees or has a direct role in facilitating. Our CJIS team has transformed the way it works to cut red tape and be more efficient in response time. They've adopted Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFE, safe methodologies to break down organizational silos, better plan work, and pivot resources to deliver improved products in a quicker manner. This included enhancements to the 1-800-CALL-FBI tip line and the National Instant Criminal Background Check System to help us answer you faster. The FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program was able to deliver the annual Reported Crimes in the Nation report sooner than usual. We're answering the public faster, more efficiently, and improving the way we serve you. And that's that for now until tomorrow, when he's going to release yet another update from the FBI. And I've got this from the FBI's profile, and it says, last week, Ukrainian national Artem Strazhak pleaded guilty for his role in Nephilim ransomware attacks against companies in the U.S. and across the globe. He and co-conspirators targeted companies with annual revenues exceeding $100 million, threatening them with data leaks if they refuse to pay ransom payments. This is going to be on justice.gov. No, I am not a robot. So Ukrainian national pleads guilty to conspiracy to use Nephilim ransomware to attack companies in the U.S. and other countries. Ukrainian national pleaded guilty today to one count of conspiracy to commit computer fraud for his role in a series of international ransomware attacks. According to court documents, Artem Alexandrovich Strazhak, age 35, of Barcelona, Spain, conspired with others to deploy the Nephilim ransomware against victim computer networks in the United States and other countries, causing significant damage to victim computer systems. As part of the scheme, the conspirators generated a unique ransomware executable file for each victim, along with a corresponding decryption key and customized ransom note. If a victim paid the ransom demand, the perpetrators provided the decryption key, enabling the victim to decrypt files locked by the ransomware. In June of 2021, Nephilim administrators gave Strazhak access to the Nephilim ransomware code in exchange for 20% of his ransom proceeds. Strazhak operated the ransomware through his account on the online Nephilim platform known as the Panel. Shortly after gaining access, Strazhak asked a co-conspirator whether he should choose a different username than one he used in other criminal activity in case the panel gets hacked into by the feds. Nephilim administrators prefer to target companies located in the U.S., Canada, or Australia with annual revenues exceeding $100 million. Strazhak and others researched potential victims after gaining unauthorized access to their networks, including by using online databases to obtain information about the company's net worth, size, and contact information. In or about July of 21, a Nephilim administrator encouraged Strazhak to target companies in those countries with more than $200 million in annual revenue. As part of the extortion scheme, the conspirators threatened that unless victims agreed to pay the ransom, the stolen data would be published on publicly accessible corporate leaks websites maintained by Nephilim administrators. And Strazhak was arrested in Spain in June of last year and extradited to the United States on April 30th. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit fraud related to computers in connection with his Nephilim ransomware activities. He's scheduled to be sentenced on May 6th of next year. The defendant faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. Federal district court judge will determine any sentence after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. U.S. Department of State's Transnational Organized Crime, or TOC, rewards program has offered a reward of up to $11 million for information leading to the arrest and or conviction or location of Strazhak's charged co-conspirator, Vladimir Timoshchuk. Anyone with information about Timoshchuk should contact the FBI via phone at 917-242-1407 or by email at timotips@fbi.gov. Or you can contact the field office, so on and so forth. So yeah, anyway, he got busted. Actually, it's kind of old, but it appears that he just pleaded guilty after being arrested over a year ago. So anyway, it looks like he's going to do some time. I don't know if they're going to recoup the money. Hopefully they will. All right, so Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs. It is deeply troubling to see certain parties and candidates continue disrupting Honduras's electoral process. It is imperative that those involved fulfill their obligations in a timely manner so the CNE can finalize the official results. Anyone who obstructs or attempts to delay the work of the CNE will face consequences. The Honduran people have waited long enough. They deserve a timely, transparent, and credible process. And I think it's been a couple of weeks since their election was held at this point, and they still haven't finalized the counting. It was something like midnight. Like they were counting steady as she goes. They were tallying up everything. Everything was going smooth, and all of a sudden, they just immediately just stopped counting and put everything on pause. And it sounds like that they're working on getting the election resolved. So anyway, but that's the update from Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs with regard to the Honduran election. And this is from the FBI. News alert from FBI Chicago. A federal grand jury has indicted 6 alleged members and associates of a Chicago street gang for participating in a criminal organization that murdered rivals, committed armed robberies and carjackings, and violently protected their perceived territory on the south side of Chicago. Oh, but it's so safe though. That's what they keep saying. The mayor, the governor. It's like the safest place ever. ICE doesn't need to be there. The military, the National Guard, they have no business being there. Chicago is the safest place in the world. All right. The indictment alleges that members of the Face World Street Gang engaged in numerous acts of violence, including 13 murders and numerous attempted murders, assaults, armed robberies, and carjackings in Chicago. Among the violence charged in the indictment were shootings at passengers aboard a Chicago Transit Authority bus and at mourners attending the funeral of a rival gang member. Read more about the investigation at this link here at justice.gov. So I won't get into the nitty-gritty details. I'll just link this for you to read. Looks like it's not that long of a read, but looks like they're facing 20 years in federal prison. Looks like racketeering was one of their charges. Charged with racketeering, conspiracy, are Chicago residents, and they've got their names there. Ages 28, 31. Looks like the youngest is 22 years old. So yeah, anyway, we'll just go and roll on past that. It just goes to show that Chicago is not exactly as safe as they make it sound like it is. But we already know that. I mean, they call it Chirac for fuck's sakes. Okay, so Stephen Miller, each self-deportation saves taxpayers up to $1 million or more in future benefits paid to illegals and their children. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, when you count every single thing that the government spends money on across the board, not necessarily money that just goes directly into their pockets, but all of these service programs, all of these welfare programs, all of the like mental health and you know, the whole 9 yards, all this stuff that they provide probably does that average up to $1 million or more per illegal immigrant. All right, so this comes from Secretary Kristi Noem. This Christmas season, the U.S. taxpayer is generously tripling the incentive for illegal aliens to leave voluntarily. Through the end of the year, illegal aliens who self-deport using the CBP Home app can receive a $3,000 exit bonus. Illegal aliens should take advantage of this gift and self-deport, because if they don't, we will find them, we will arrest them, and they will not return. Yeah, see, that's the thing. If Customs and Border Protection or if ICE, if they have to apprehend you, or if they make contact with you and they apprehend you and they deport you that way, then you can never become a U.S. citizen. You will never be allowed to re-enter into the United States. It is a done deal forever. At least now, if you self-deport, at least it sounds like it. I don't know if it's something that they are going to truly honor, but my understanding is that if these illegal immigrants, if they self-deport, then they could put themselves on a pathway to enter the U.S. legally in the future. Don't quote me on that exactly, but I believe that's the stance that at least the Trump administration has right now, if that's not already in federal law. So let's hear Secretary Kristi Noem.
Well, it's home for the holidays season. So,
oh my God, here we go again.
Returning those kids back to their families that Biden lost. We also are saying that if you voluntarily want to go home now to your country, if you're in this United States of America illegally, we will give you $3,000 through the holidays to send you home. We'll buy you a ticket, give you $3,000 to go home, and that includes people that have not been detained, maybe have interacted with us, are detained and don't have criminal charges against them. Yeah, raise your hand. We'll help you get home. We'll facilitate it, and you might get the chance to come back to this country the right way someday. If you wait until we interdict you and detain you and arrest you and have to deport you ourselves, you'll never get the chance to come back. So go on the CBP Home app and get the information, and we'll make sure you get home in time for Christmas.
All right, let's see how many people take that off.
You know what? I should know better because I'm already half deaf. My left ear is completely 100% stone deaf. So I've only got one good ear, and I need to protect that ear as much as I can. But obviously, I don't protect it as much as I should. But anyway, so this is good news. It's really good news. That's a hell of an incentive. So hopefully we might, I don't know if we will for sure, but we might actually see that number of illegal immigrants that have left the country approach or maybe even surpass 3 million. At last count, it was 2.5 million, and that was roughly 3 weeks, maybe about a month ago when they made that announcement that it reached 2.5 million. That includes self-deportations and Customs and Border Protection, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So all the numbers put together, it was 2.5 million. But with this incentive, tripling the amount, maybe that'll get a lot more people on board, and they'll self-deport. Maybe we'll see that 3 million mark by the end of the year. All right, Department of State, Merry Early Christmas. Visas revoked by the State Department in 2025, 8,000 total. Over 8,000 international students have had their visas revoked. Does that mean that they have fully left the country? I would assume probably not. I bet a lot of people are overstaying their visas. In fact, a lot are overstaying their visas. So doesn't say in this image that they have left the country. It just says that their visas are revoked. But, you know, one way or another, they're not allowed to remain here. And this is from Tommy Pigot from 11 hours ago. Under President Trump, we're ending the era of mass migration.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And we're talking about going from an era in the last administration where we had hundreds of thousands of people coming into this country every single month, either legally or illegally. You cannot sustain that type of program. Hundreds of thousands of people coming into this country every single month.
Yeah, and of course, we remember that was from the Biden administration, basically his entire 4 years as president. And who was the border czar again? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Kamala Harris, the one who was trying to become president, the one who ran against Donald Trump. She was the border czar. She was in charge of the southern border. And hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants were pouring into our country on a monthly basis.
And assume there's safety there. Assume we have the proper vetting criteria. As the secretary has indicated, that type of volume, it's often impossible to have that type of vetting criteria that the American people expect.
Impossible
so
and
we're putting
retarded.
an end to the era of mass migration. We're going to make sure that we have an America First visa policy, that we're taking national security incredibly seriously. And fundamentally, visa security is border security. Of course, we think of the southwest border when we're talking about border security, but we need visa policies that are also contributing to that border security and not allowing people into this country that are going to break our laws, abuse our system, or violate the terms of their visa.
And COVID was a major driver for inflation, obviously. You know, all the trillions of dollars that they spent, that they just created out of nothing. All that money wasn't labored over. So, of course, our inflation skyrocketed, but also allowing tens of millions of illegal immigrants into the country in a very short amount of time overwhelmed our system. That's a big reason why all of our utilities skyrocketed, our rent skyrocketed, because they got to live somewhere, and they're going to use electricity, they're going to use running water. That's why our food went up substantially in cost, because they got to eat something. So basically everything, and you know, everything climbed up substantially because so many of these people, they're all human beings, so they're all going to consume relatively the same resources as we do. And now that they're heading back, we're starting to see a noticeable drop, at least in rents, in many markets across the country, and probably utilities too, for that matter. All right, so this comes from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement from 9 hours ago. Law enforcement across the nation want to work with ICE. I bet they do.
Almost every law enforcement agency in this country wants to work with ICE. They have great relationships with us. We have task force officers from their agency. It's elected officials that decide to put the safety of public safety ahead of sanctuary policies, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's easy for them to do. They've got armed guards. They live in these big ass elitist like tower fucking palaces with these giant walls. So it's not any different. It doesn't make any difference to them.
It's actually causing lives, and there's just more and more of these stories, and it's heartbreaking.
As they keep gaslighting
my thoughts and prayers go out to that family, because this was an incident that could have been avoided, and that's what ICE is here for. That's what ICE's law enforcement mission is, and where we want to make America safe again. We just need these sanctuary jurisdiction politicians to work with us.
Yep, absolutely unreal. Just time and time again. Just they keep letting them out without bail, and then they go on to commit murders. Not all, not most, maybe not even some, but there are a number of illegal immigrants that are committing heinous and horrific crimes, and a lot of them are committing crimes after they were just let out of jail. Okay, Homeland Security, 11 hours ago, taxpayers are no longer footing the grocery bill for illegals. Schools are no longer overcrowded, and there's been a 21% reduction in crime, and you're complaining? And this is from Mike Quigley, of course, a Democrat representing Illinois' 5th District. He's also the House Appropriations and Intel member. And he says, due to the Trump administration, horrific ICE raids in Chicago, annual revenue in Little Village, one of our historically Latino neighborhoods, has dropped by 50%. Where's your stat, dude? Where's your source? Where's your stat? I don't see any stats or sources. Probably yanked that right out of his own ass. 911 calls from Little Village residents have dropped by 21%. Yet again, could be a number he just yanked straight out of his ass. And half of our city's neighborhoods have seen school attendance drop. People are afraid to get groceries, to call the police, or even send their kids to school. This madness has to stop. Well, nobody's afraid. Nobody's scared of that unless they're here illegally. And if they are here illegally, they damn well should be afraid. So take your $3,000, with a big thank you and a nice gentle handshake, and get the fuck back. Go back, and if you want to come back to the country, do it legally. Do it legally. Okay, so U.S. Department of Labor, same time frame, 9 hours ago. Taxpayer-funded unemployment benefits are for American workers only. Reports of mass welfare fraud among TPS Somalis and other groups in Minnesota are deeply troubling. We're sending in a team to investigate if these issues exist at the state's unemployment insurance program so we can root out all fraud and ensure benefits go to American workers. And from Fox News, Labor Secretary announces strike team going to Minnesota to investigate rampant fraud. I already read this article. I believe it was on Friday when I read it, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's probably, I didn't think it was going to be linked below because it came out a few days ago. So yeah, if you want to hear the details on that, check out the Friday Swamp. Or you can go back to the episode on Friday and check out the links in the description below. That link will be there for that Fox News article. Or you can just Google it. The Labor Secretary announces strike team. It'll come right up. All right, so DEA Louisville, 7 hours ago. Last week, Louisville DEA agents working with our law enforcement partners arrested an illegal alien for selling cocaine while in possession of guns. This individual is suspected of being an MS-13 gang member, and he's a person of interest in a murder case out of El Salvador. Just wonderful. Lovely. MS-13, one of the most violent gangs in the world. And I have read somewhere, actually, I think I actually heard some elected official or maybe a law enforcement official actually make this mention that in order to be initiated into MS-13, you have to commit murder. You got to kill somebody to get into the gang. So anyway, glad they got him. And he's off the streets and heading back. Probably going to that Supermax facility, the one in El Salvador that Democrats are freaking out about. I talked about it on the video that I did yesterday. It's an acronym. It's a weird acronym facility. It's the big prison that they just built in El Salvador, and the U.S. government. They're deporting criminal illegal immigrants who have committed crimes in the country, and they're shipping them to that facility. And El Salvador is holding them for, I believe they said, for a period of 1 year before they deport them to, I'm assuming, whichever country they came from. And from Secretary Lori Chavez D. Raymer, unbelievable. The amount of fraud found among different groups in Minnesota, particularly among TPS Somalis, is, wait a minute, did we already do that? Is staggering. Oh, no, okay, never mind. TPS Somalis is staggering, and it's clear that Ilhan Omar played a part in allowing it to happen. We'll hold her and everyone involved accountable. That threw me off because it said TPS Somalis like that. Yeah, there it was. So I thought I was reading the same thing again. Okay, so this is from Eric Daugherty. Holy crap, Somali Rep. Ilhan Omar is now defending her legislation that allowed billions in fraud out of Minnesota. Do you regret it? Do you think it led to the fraud? Omar, absolutely not. Deport Ilhan Omar now and remove Tim Walz from office.
This because
in a perfect
I'm sure
world.
we'll find even more connections. This is what Ilhan Omar said, defending the program that she introduced in the House that led to all of these billions being stolen.
Yeah, it's a quote. She's telling Fox Digital. So this is the 2020 Meals Act. Ilhan Omar drops legislation intended to feed poor children during COVID because they might not have access, and it opened up a 100% USDA waiver that was exploited grotesquely.
Your tax money,
Fox
ladies
News
and
asked her,
gentlemen.
do you regret pushing for that bill, the Meals Act? Do you think it led to the fraud? Ilhan Omar, absolutely not. It did help feed kids. Okay, you see those, how it started, how it ended. Let's do how this started, what the funds were meant for feeding children, for helping recovering addicts find a place to live, helping disabled adults live independently, one-on-one therapy for autistic children.
That was the promise.
That was the idea. Now, here's where the funds allegedly went. You see that on the right side of the screen. Wire transfers to China and East Africa, a villa in the Maldives, first-class plane tickets, luxury vehicles, lakefront property in Minnesota, designer jewelry, and crypto. And that's just among the things we know. Yet Ilhan Omar, and to a lesser degree, even Governor Walz, is not owning up to the fact that this was
no, they're not. They're not going to resign either.
Exploited, that now the House Oversight Committee under Chairman James Comer is subpoenaing documents and may even
they need to subpoena
people like
Tim
Governor
Walz
Walz
also.
up to Capitol Hill to say, did any of this money that was being sent back, forget the gifts and the luxury cars, did any of this money go back to terrorist organizations? And that's what we're going to find out.
Well, and there's other questions.
Sounds like it did.
Want to know, did the money go overseas, get laundered, and come back? There's lots of questions.
Yeah,
and so
that
they
too.
should keep digging and digging and digging. But it also
Why do you
comes to
think
this
they're buying
fundamental
crypto so they
question
can
that
launder
we
it?
were talking about earlier, which is immigration. What
Yep.
kind of immigrants should we bring over? And I would say we should bring over
Very
immigrants
smart ones,
who
intelligent.
love our country. And if you're stealing,
Ones that produce more than they consume, we could start with that. They have to be a net producer and not a net consumer.
from our country, if you're ripping us off, you don't love us.
Right.
And everybody who has any little finger in this pot should be taken out of here.
And if you set up an
Well,
immigrant,
dude, welfare benefits should be instantly illegal for any immigrants, even if they're legal immigrants. If you're a legal immigrant coming into the country, you don't get any government benefits. You fucking crazy? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Even if it's by a lottery system, or even if they've got the merit, even if they got a degree and they want to come over and they're about to be an engineer, but they don't have enough money for like they need a few months worth to get on their feet. No, hell no, fuck that. No, I don't agree with that at all.
system that invites people to come to this country so that they can steal, you have a really screwed up
Yeah,
system.
you got that going on too.
And again, we have at a more philosophical level, you have all this money going.
Well, like all these people, like not all of them, but a lot of people from Latin America that are seeking asylum, they're not seeking asylum because they're coming from a war-torn nation. They're not coming from a country where they're being religiously persecuted. They want to come up here for economic reasons. They want to claim asylum because of economic circumstances, which is that is not a reason to be seeking asylum at all.
I don't know. They go,
At least
we
it
need
sure as
money
hell
for the
shouldn't
kids
be.
because it's COVID.
Right.
And nobody's actually probably checking to say, is there a need?
Right.
Are there kids that aren't getting
Is this
food
gonna
because
work?
of COVID? Because there was a lot of crazy stuff happening during COVID. And so,
Oh my God,
the
dude,
Democrats'
I'm
idea
so
of helping
fucking glad
is
that
just,
bullshit's over
here's
with.
money, get it out the door.
Never let them spend $2
Talk about
trillion
clown
on
world.
anything.
Well, and that's why you had the biggest fraud case in history, certainly in the state of Minnesota, with feeding our children. They were just making names up in rosters that didn't exist.
And to be fair, I've never seen more uncovering of fraud as much as it upsets us, and it's upsetting to
just
see
wait
what
till they
they've
dig
done. This is
into
the
California,
biggest, fraud in our history, I think, what happened in Minnesota. But all the fraud that has been uncovered through Doge and other things, USAID, that is very
Wasted
encouraging. I
abuse.
think it will be the legacy of this administration, the amount of government fraud that we are uncovering, and it's a testament to that. There's just too much money in government.
Well, yeah, that too. However, is there really anything that's going to ultimately be done about it, though? I mean, are they really going to actually pass legislation? I mean, they really don't have to pass any legislation, most likely. I'm sure there's already laws out there that safeguard against fraud. They're just not implementing any of these laws. They're just not, checking the right boxes. They're not balancing out anything. They're just allowing the fraud to go just run rampant. But just wait till they get into California if they have that in the plans, because I'm sure, like with the $24 billion that they've used for the homeless program, also the $15 billion for the high-speed rail, the slew of other things that they've dumped countless billions of dollars into in California. I'm sure quite a lot of that was wasted and probably fraudulently stolen. So anyway, I don't know. We'll see. U.S. Trade Representative 7 hours ago in FT Financial Times, Ambassador Greer explains how the year of the tariff is already accelerating re-industrialization, raising blue-collar wages, lowering inflation, and bringing manufacturing back to American soil. You can read his latest op-ed here, and don't mind if I do. It's on the USTR.gov, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative. Op-ed by Ambassador Jameson Greer, the year of the tariff. And this was published today. Washington, United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer published an op-ed in the Financial Times explaining how President Trump's trade program is accelerating America's reindustrialization, incentivizing domestic production with improved market access for U.S. exports. And it reads as follows. The year 2025 will be remembered as the year of the tariff, regardless of one's economic ideology. International trade is neither good nor bad, it just is. The real question is whether trade patterns serve the national interest. For President Donald Trump and his administration, that means a trade policy that accelerates reindustrialization. America's growing and persistent trade deficits in manufactured and agricultural goods have been devastating for our country. Multinational corporations may not care where they make their money or products, but it matters for auto workers in Michigan or cotton farmers in Texas who are trying to sustain local communities. It matters whether innovators have access to know-how and experience on the factory floor. And it matters whether we have the industrial-based capabilities and resilience to ensure our national defense. Reversing this situation demands a strategy of tariffs and deals to combine incentives for domestic production with improved market access for U.S. exports. The president campaigned on a protective tariff and started his second term of the series of trade actions to implement that promise. Following months of active negotiations, on July 31st, he established a new structure for balanced trade: 10% tariffs on countries with which the U.S. runs a surplus, 15% tariffs on countries with which it has a small deficit, and higher tariffs for countries with which we have large trade deficits. And moving on to earlier in July, the president closed a deal with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. From there, the Turnberry round of global trade negotiations continues at an accelerated pace. In the autumn, he concluded trade agreements and frameworks with Malaysia, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Korea. He finalized an investment agreement with Japan and more recently announced new framework agreements with Guatemala, El Salvador, Argentina, and Ecuador. Our trading partners are agreeing to eliminate or substantially reduce tariffs for U.S. products, eliminate or streamline non-tariff barriers such as import licenses, duplicative testing or non-scientific standards or regulations, expand intellectual property rights and enforcement, prohibit the import of goods made with forced labor, provide fair treatment for digital service companies, and refrain from imposing digital services, taxes, and expand services market access. Partners will also consult and cooperate with the U.S. in implementing export controls, investment screening, and measures to combat non-market practices that distort global trade. Many countries have also committed to substantial investments in the U.S. and procurement of American goods. In return, these countries receive from the U.S. meaningful tariff modifications, partnership on cross-border investment, participation in the U.S. technology stack, and ongoing access to the world's most valuable consumer market. Let's see how much more there are. Okay, so there's not a whole lot more. There are 3 ways I measure the success of this new trade policy. In addition to boosting overall economic growth, 3.8% in the second quarter, it should reduce the trade deficit, raise wages for American workers, and increase manufacturing's share of our economy. The outlook is good. The core inflation rate, 2.7%, is the lowest in 5 years. Let's go. Since August, our global trade deficit is in good hands. Our global trade deficit in goods is down, including an approximately 25% year-on-year decrease in our goods deficit with China. Inflation-adjusted wages are up, and manufacturing is coming back. The last piece is admittedly difficult. It took decades to lose our industrial primacy. Building it won't happen overnight, but this autumn, the first rare earth magnets made in North America in 25 years rolled off the line in South Carolina. The Philadelphia shipyard has orders for a dozen commercial vessels, including 2 liquefied natural gas carriers, the first to be built here in nearly 50 years. Foundries and forges are being rekindled, and concrete has been poured for the foundations of new pharmaceutical facilities. Auto production lines are returning to America. If some want to criticize that as a rocky start, I'll take it. They should consider the counterfactual. If tariffs came off, would this new production be happening at all? Absolutely not. Our reindustrialization requires more than just smart trade policy. We need better technology, workforce, regulatory, tax, and energy policies, all priorities for the Trump administration. Looking at it from the trade portfolio, I'm glad to see the plan is working. Oh shit, I just muted myself. Anyway, and that's from Jameson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative, or Ambassador Jameson Greer, rather. So that'll be linked if you want to check that out again later on. And let me go back to the next post from Caroline Levitt. The first tax season under President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act is fast approaching, and most filers, those who file their taxes, can expect a slew of fresh and enlarged deductions that will result in bigger refund checks in the mail. And this is going to be from NewYorkPost.com. Hopefully, this article won't be as riddled with grammatical errors as the last one. Here's how Trump's Big Beautiful Bill could impact your tax refunds in April. Is this? Oh, no. That's the Big Beautiful Bill that he signed. I was going to say sometimes I'd rather just play the video because it's just more convenient. Anyway, the first tax season under President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act is fast approaching, and most filers can expect a slew of fresh and enlarged deductions that will result in bigger refund checks in the mail. The tax and spending bill is expected to go down as the signature legislative achievement of Trump's second term, extending his 2017 tax cuts and adding an estimated $4 trillion to the deficit. It also will save the average U.S. taxpayer hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, according to experts. And that's always been my main pushback with the tax cuts, because it added to the deficit. Because in order to cut taxes, you could do one of two things. You can reduce the government's budget, which effectively you're downsizing the government. You could either do that, or you could just tack it up onto the debt. And they chose to tack it onto the debt because in many ways, the Republicans in Congress are absolutely effing useless, completely useless, with a couple of very, not very minor exceptions. I mean, yeah, they could be quite useful. They just choose not to be. So anyway, these changes to the standard deduction, SALT cap and return exemptions on tips, overtime and senior bonus means most people will be paying less in taxes or getting a bigger refund in April. Nathan Goldman, tax expert and professor at North Carolina State University, told the Post. Higher standard deduction. Arguably, the most significant tweak in the bill is an increase to the standard deduction, since this will affect the largest chunk of American taxpayers. While standard deductions tick up every year, they saw two increases in 2025, once at the start of the year and once with the passage of Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The bill increased the standard deduction for a single filer to $15,750, up from $15,000, and for a married couple to $31,500, up from $30,000. That's an extra few $100s that you're getting back, Goldman said. That one's huge, because now we're talking about a huge deduction that every single person is getting, regardless of all your other activities. Another major change in Trump's tax and spending bill is the new cap to state and local tax, or SALT deductions. It quadruples the SALT deduction cap to $40,000, though this is temporary and will drop back down to $10,000 in 2029. Some of the biggest itemized deductions come down to what you pay in property taxes, and property taxes are very expensive in New York, Florida, California. Instead of only being able to itemize $10,000, they're going to be able to itemize up to $40,000, Goldman said. But the new cap will benefit some more than others, according to E.J. McMahon, a fellow at the Manhattan Institute for Policy Research. Single filers can claim the full amount, but married couples who file jointly would share the $40,000 SALT deduction between both spouses. Since the standard deduction is $31,500, it might be more beneficial in some cases for the married couple to continue taking that standard deduction. But if they are already itemizing, for example, if they own a home, then the SALT cap could prove more optimal. Quote, the most likely beneficiaries will be a large swath of middle and upper middle income families in the New York City suburbs of Long Island and the lower Hudson Valley, where a combination of local property taxes and state income tax can easily range from $20,000 to $25,000, McMahon told the Post. While the impact will not be as large for upstate homeowners, those in metro suburbs around Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo will still benefit. Do your state and local taxes plus mortgage interest plus charitable contributions exceed $31,500? Then you benefit, McMahon said. The answer is more likely to be yes if you're a middle-class homeowner downstate. The full SALT deduction phases out for filers with gross income above $500,000 and reverts to $10,000 for incomes of at least $600,000. And of course, there's no tax on tips and overtime. Let's see, senior bonus deduction, it gets into that as well. The bill adds an additional $6,000 standard deduction bonus for taxpayers over 65. That's, I'm sure, going to be helpful for many. The auto loan interest deduction, the bill allows eligible taxpayers to deduct up to $10,000 in auto loan interest on new qualifying vehicles for the first time. And yeah, I guess if you really want to spend an average of $50,000 for a new vehicle, I still can't fathom anybody. Like, there's absolutely no effing way I would ever do that. The car that I'm driving today, I spent $1,100 cash on it back in 2015, and with some regular maintenance and changing some parts here and there, which, yeah, I've changed quite a few parts over the years, thanks to DIY YouTube and Harbor Freight Tools. I've done it all myself with no mechanical experience. Just the magic of YouTube and Harbor Freight Tools. I've changed all kinds of stuff on my car. And yeah, $1,100, probably spent like maybe $4,000 or $5,000 on maintenance, including taking it up to the mechanic shop because there were some things I couldn't do, like my timing belt, a few other things. I mean, I'm saving a hell of a lot of money, Grok, I plugged all that into Grok AI, and it estimated that over the last 10 years, I've saved up to $100,000 on car payments because I decided to drive an old 90s car instead. So anyway, just food for thought. All right, so tax credits and Trump accounts for kids. As part of the bill, the child tax credit has been permanently hiked to $2,200 per child, up from $2,000. So it's a little bump, but at least it's something, I guess. Parents will also be able to open tax advantage investment accounts known as Trump accounts for kids under 18 with Social Security numbers. For U.S. citizens born from 2025 through the end of 2028, U.S. Treasury will seed these accounts with a federal grant of $1,000 each. And of course, there's charitable contributions. The vast majority of us probably aren't in that boat or in that bracket these days because, life's hard these days for the middle class. $2,000 tariff dividend checks. Another economic proposal from Trump is his $2,000 tariff dividend checks, which he has vowed to send to the majority of Americans by the 2026 midterms. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up happening. The cost of the checks would cost about $600 billion, though. So probably not going to happen. I wouldn't count on it. I don't even know why they would even tout that. You should take that $600 billion and chalk it straight up to the national deficit, the principle of the national deficit. So, all right. Then anyway, we'll continue on to the next thing. Let's see. This will be from the GOP. Insider polling. 50% of voters approve of President Trump's job performance and insider advantage. So that's what they're saying at insider polling. Polling for broadcast and print digital media since 2001. Insider Advantage ranked as the top pollster by Real Clear Politics for the last presidential cycle. And according to them, Trump's polling at 50% approval. It's not spectacular, but I'm sure it's much better than previous presidential terms, that's for sure. Chairman Joe Gruters from 11 hours ago. Democrats are lying about Obamacare. Yeah, what else is new? Since they passed Obamacare, premiums are up well over 100%, and the Democrats are the ones who set these subsidies to expire. Yes, they did. Democrats own this. RNC research from December the 21st, just yesterday. No surprise that Congressman Sarah McBride is confused about who is to blame for the Democrat healthcare crisis. Democrats voted for these subsidies to end in 2025, and under their watch, premiums have risen 129% since 2014.
Let me set the record straight. Obamacare is a complete failure. We are a decade and a half into the so-called Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, a bill that was promised to the American people as a solution to lower health care spending. But patients have not been protected, and health care certainly has not become more affordable. Since Obamacare was fully implemented in 2014, health care premiums have risen 129%, over 3 times the rate of inflation during the same period.
Over 3 times the rate of inflation. Yeah, but Democrats, all that, that happened. We're not going to admit it, but that totally happened. But it's still all the Republicans' fault. Congresswoman Sarah McBride from yesterday. Delawareans are already feeling the effects of Trump care. Dave wrote to my office to share that without an extension of the ACA tax credits, his wife, who suffers from multiple ailments, and he will see their premium jump to $1,200 a month and will lose their coverage. Well, which is it? Is it going to jump to $1,200 a month, or are they going to lose their coverage? Because it's got to be one or the other. I mean, they won't lose their coverage. They'll just opt out of their coverage. Maybe that's what she meant. Trump care is dangerous, though. It is deadly. And even when people do everything right, Republicans in Congress continue to fail them. Just say it. Say Obamacare. Say it. It's Obamacare. Of course, they're not going to say that because it'll make them look bad, because it is. Because it is Obamacare. It's got Democrats written all over the modern healthcare insurance system, and the Republicans, they wanted no part of it. That's why there were 0 Republican votes when it came to voting for Obamacare. And the subsidies, the extensions. Not a single Republican voted for any of that shit. It's 100% Democrats, and look what our premiums are doing. They're skyrocketing. The reason the premiums are skyrocketing is because those subsidies are expiring. The Democrats set the clock to make them expire. They gave it a 3-year window for these subsidies to last. Republicans didn't sign. Not a single Republican got on board with that. It was 100% Democrats. They're the ones that set the 3-year clock. And now that the clock's running out and premiums are about to explode over Obamacare, which was 100% voted on by Democrats for the millionth time, now they want to blame Republicans for that? Republicans hadn't touched any of this. It's all on the Democrats. They wrote it up. They passed it. They own it. Senator James Lankford, Obamacare has serious structural issues that are causing healthcare costs to skyrocket. Instead of fixing the problems, Democrats enacted a COVID-era subsidy. That subsidy is now expiring and exposing the real issues with Obamacare. Yes, it is. In Oklahoma, Obamacare went up 198% when commercial insurance went up only 29% over 6 years. People want choice and lower costs, and that's exactly what these subsidies are doing. If you strip away the subsidies, all that's left is what Obamacare really is. And that's why Democrats are freaking out, because the American people are finally seeing what Obamacare really is, how much it really costs. And now they're stuck having to pay for it. They can blame Republicans all they want, but anybody who's paid at least a little bit of attention to politics since the Obama era, they know where all this shit's coming from. It's from the fucking Democrats, man. So let's listen to this.
This is pure and simple an expiration and a problem that the Democrats created several years ago. Obamacare is unaffordable. What happened when Obamacare was put in place?
They can't say Obamacare.
Prices skyrocketed in the marketplace during COVID. Democrats put an additional subsidy on top of the Obamacare subsidies. They gave that an expiration date. That was the end of this year, saying this was a COVID-era plus-up on it. Obviously, the COVID pandemic is over.
Got the face
that plus-up is going away, and it's exposing the real issues within Obamacare. That's the challenge that we're facing. Just in my state, we took a 6-year snapshot. The Obamacare marketplaces went up 198% during that time period.
Went up like 30.
Normal insurance, commercial insurance for everybody else went up 29% during that time period. There are real structural problems in Obamacare that have just been hidden with one subsidy after another to try to hide the problems that are there. The problems are now coming out in the daylight, and Republicans have said we have got to get people more affordable health care and give them more options for them to be able to choose in and not just lock them into Obamacare.
Yeah, dude, fuck Obamacare. Just don't use Obamacare. Just try to find private health insurance somewhere. I mean, it's probably going to be cheaper than Obamacare no matter which place you look at this point, with Obamacare going up 100% in some cases, or if you listen to Chuck Schumer, it's going to go up $20,000 a year for some of my constituents. Okay, Secretary Brooke Rollins from 9 hours ago. Under the president's leadership, this administration believes that employment and training is more than just a job. It is about helping people move from public assistance to economic self-sufficiency. I'm honored to be working with Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer to ensure the American dream is accessible for every American. And Chavez DeRemer, she is the Secretary of Labor. So there's her bio, and they've got a video that they shared.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brooke Rollins, here with my great friend, the Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer. Today, the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Labor signed an MOU to better connect SNAP, or our food stamp program participants, with real workforce opportunities.
Amen.
This MOU helps break down the silos between federal and state programs by encouraging shared strategies, joint guidance, program coordination, and technical assistance to the states. The Trump administration believes employment and training is more than just a job. It's about helping people move from public assistance to economic self-sufficiency, truly achieving their American dream.
That's exactly right. We believe in empowering every American so they can contribute to our economy and build a secure future for themselves and their families. When we help our neighbors find work, we don't just change their lives. We grow our workforce and we strengthen our entire economy. Under this new agreement, we are bridging the gap between the Department of Agriculture's SNAP Employment and Training Program and our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Job Training Program here at Labor. Our shared goal is to ensure that low-income, work-capable Americans can access employment, education, training, and those support services that lead to fulfilling jobs.
President Trump believes dignity in work matters, and today's action helps make that expectation clear and achievable. Thank you, my friend, Secretary Chavez DeRemer, for your partnership and your leadership as we work together to make America great again.
Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, they were talking about maximizing SNAP benefits to a period of 2 years, and you have to work a minimum of 20 hours a week to get SNAP benefits, unless you have children under 14 years old. I believe I remember that correctly. Not sure if they're actually rolling that out. I thought I read somewhere that they're actually going to roll that plan out to where that's going to be a requirement if you want food stamps. So we'll see what happens. They're also requiring every single American who's getting food stamps, SNAP benefits, they have to reapply. That way they can weed out all of the fake applicants, the duplicate applicants, the fraud, the waste, the abuse. I think it's a fantastic idea. There's probably a lot of welfare programs, whether if it's on the federal or state level, they should fully reapply on an annual basis, or maybe even every 6 months. Try to keep it as current as possible. That way there isn't a double enrollment or triple enrollment or, fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay, Steve Scalise from 10 hours ago. The House GOP has delivered historic results this year, working with President Trump to secure the border, cut taxes, unleash American energy, roll back Biden-era regulations, and lower costs for families. Together, we're building a safer, freer, and more prosperous country, and we're just getting started. And it's a long letter. I'm not going to read the letter because it's just too long to go through. But what I will do, I will repost this so you can check that out. If you scroll down into the description of this video, you'll see a direct link to my X account, and you can check it out right there. Or you can just go to Steve Scalise's profile at Steve Scalise. And looks like, oh yeah, he still was ratioed. So this post got ratioed. So it's only got 370 likes, and it's got almost 400 comments at this point. So I can only imagine what people might be saying. They might be about the SAVES Act. I think, what's the other one? The CARES Act or something like that. Like, there's a bunch of these pieces of legislation that Republicans, the Republican base, the voters want passed, and they're not doing it in Congress. So what about the easiest one of mandatory citizenship, proper photo ID, and paper-only ballots for all elections? Is that the SAVES Act? I think that's the SAVES Act. Great work. Keep it up. Economy must boom in 2026, and we must gain in the House. Must. Okay. Well, he's in agreement with what they're doing. House's record number of days off, deliver things like healthcare taken away. We could go on and on. Codify, codify, codify. Make the Doge cuts permanent. Amen. But not on nuking the filibuster. Yeah, a lot of people are still pissed off about that. Done a great job. Canada says, hold my beer. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, wait, hold on. So our inflation rate is much lower, 2.2%. We've created more jobs over the past several months, even though our population is 1/8 of America's. Yeah, dude, but the average house in Canada is $750,000. So you're not really exactly thriving up in Canada. You're still struggling, like just on housing alone. It's freaking killing people in Canada. Rodster, thank you, sir. It was an amazing year, and 2026 is going to be even better. Historic weeks of not being on the job. Yeah, somebody pointed out, I think in the next post I'm going to check out, it's from Speaker Mike Johnson. And there's a few mentions in the comments of that, like where they took off like 150 or 180 some odd days this year that they were not in session. Not quite. There it is. The SAVE Act, and also modified Doge cuts. I think they meant to say codify. Pass standalone budgets and support your president. Trump was right about everything. Balanced budget amendment now. He wants them to do more. You think you guys are transparent enough with the American population, or do you feel like you could do more? Someone said fail. So anyway, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing, which is from Speaker Mike Johnson. House Republicans, a full year of legislative action for working families. And let's take a look at this. The House Republicans, a full year of legislative action. And let me just do a quick skim through, see how long. Okay, so it's not all that long. So sometimes sometimes these bullet points can go on and on and on. So during the 2025 legislative year, House Republicans and President Trump advanced the most aggressive Republican agenda in recent memory. Despite one of the narrowest House majorities in modern history, the unified Republican agenda focused on putting money back in the pockets of American families and putting America first. Through lower taxes, border security, and unleashing American energy, permitting reform, national defense, appropriations, and government efficiency. A lot of it needs to get codified, though. Legislative output, 441 bills passed by the House, 70 executive orders codified through legislation, 23 Congressional Review Act resolutions adopted with 16 signed into law, $9 billion rescinded through the Recessions Act of 2025. Then it goes into the economic policy and tax relief, the working families tax cuts, which I believe is the same thing as the One Big Beautiful Bill, isn't it? I want to say that's like they rebranded it, but yeah, it is. It's the same thing, One Big Beautiful Bill. In case you didn't know, whenever you see working families tax cuts, it's the exact same thing. Eliminated federal taxes on tips and overtime, take-home pay, provided tax relief for workers, seniors, small businesses, farmers, $60 billion investment in America's agriculture. Of course, we know the border and energy permitting and infrastructure. They passed the Permit Act, Domestic LNG Potential Act, Electric Supply Chain Act, a whole bunch of energy acts that were passed. Same with national defense, fixing Democrats' broken healthcare system. Well, not exactly. They haven't really passed anything yet, though, have they? I don't believe that they have. I mean, they passed something through the House. So, I mean, I'm assuming what they passed through the House, it's going to be rolled through the Senate and sent up to Trump's desk for a signature. But I don't believe that's exactly happened just yet. Advance the Lower Healthcare Premiums for All Americans Act, which cuts Obamacare marketplace premiums by at least 11% and lowers premiums for all Americans in the private market. Well, look, dude, if it's going to cut their premiums by 11%, that ain't good enough, Republicans. That ain't nearly good enough. Because Obamacare, what was the number that he just gave? It's gone up by like 195% since 2014. So it's gone up 194%, and the Republicans' big answer is that we're going to lower it by 11%. Yay, we won. No, dude, that ain't going to happen. It's not good enough. It's not even nearly good enough. You need to nuke Obamacare completely and rebuild anew. Actually, don't even try to rebuild it up from the ground. Just leave it in its grave and try to figure out how to pass legislation that will just return the healthcare insurance sector back into the private sector somehow. I don't know. Anyway, saves approximately $30 billion over 10 years by reducing federal subsidy costs. Again, dude, that's not $30 billion over 10 years. That's only $3 billion a year. Come on, man, do better. Expands coverage options for workers, small businesses, and the self-employed. This thing just sounds like a Band-Aid on a broken arm, if you ask me. At least looking at these bullet points. Appropriations and regular order. So they advanced all 12 fiscal year 2026 appropriation bills out of committee. Well, okay, you may have advanced them out of the committee, but they haven't been fully passed. For the first time since 2019, the House took formal action to move regular appropriations bills to the conference, reduce discretionary spending, so on and so forth, public safety and election integrity, the SAVE Act, but it wasn't passed, though. I mean, they introduced it, but it hadn't passed. So sponsor committees, latest actions in the Senate. As of April the 10th of 2025, it was received in the Senate. So the Senate's fucking sitting on it. So it's already been passed in the House. Yeah, there it is right there, passed in the House. And now it's sitting in the Senate. So I guess get a hold of your senator and let him know to pass the SAVE Act. Because anybody who's leaving comments for representatives to pass the SAVE Act, they already did. It's already passed the House. It's sitting in the Senate right now. So go scream at the Senate to pass the SAVE Act. I mean, what the hell are they waiting on? We've got the midterms coming up next year. Why the hell are they waiting? Maybe that's part of their strategy. Maybe they want to pass the SAVE Act like over the summer. That way the whole conversation with solidifying our voting laws and making it more effective to vote, paper ballots, requiring ID and everything. Maybe they're purposefully waiting until it's closer to election just to refreshen everybody's minds to get out and vote. You know, it's a safe election this time, so get your ass out there and vote. Anyway, landmark crypto legislation, even though crypto is absolutely tanking right now. I mean, like Bitcoin and Ethereum are kind of like holding fairly steady, even though Bitcoin's well below 100,000 now. But all of that altcoin stuff, man, it is absolutely just nosedived. And yeah, man, if you're involved in any of that, yeah, you're feeling the pain. Maybe with the exception of just a couple of maybe coins here and there. All right, so here's some of the comments. He got 898 hearts and 600 comments, so it's not a ratio. When I first looked at this a few hours ago, I believe it was in ratio territory, so the likes have surpassed the comments. So I gave a few, I marked a few with hearts just so I can not spend too much time going through this. So Rick James, he says, you haven't done anything you need. Oh, wait, no, not that one. Well, I mean, you could read that one too, but a full year of legislative inaction, any other field of work, a performance, this poor would result in termination. World record, vacation is your claim to fame. That was from Rick James, bitch. Let's see, what else? There might have been a lot of comments since I last scrolled through here. There's another one. Why haven't you impeached Bosberg yet? Or Boasberg yet? He's that judge. The fucking freaking activist judge. So when will you balance the budget? That's a good question. Y'all have a total of 136 days in session, which you have closed the House outside of the shutdown for 53 of those days in 2025. Nearly 40% of available days for House work you've shut down to avoid votes on Epstein files, to hinder document releases, and most recently, in advance of the DOJ blatantly breaking federal law on the full release of the Epstein files. You are a joke. I promise you, I didn't write that. Even though I agree with most of what they said. Especially with the Epstein files. because the DOJ, I think they did start rolling out some of the Epstein files before the deadline, it was on Friday, wasn't it? I think it was on Friday when the deadline was. It was the 19th. Yeah. So they started rolling out Epstein files like by the tens of thousands. However, not all of the Epstein files have been released yet. But the federal law deadline that President Trump signed into law, the Epstein Act that was signed, required the Department of Justice to fully release everything by the 19th. It didn't say start releasing on the 19th. It didn't say the 19th as a general guideline. No, it strictly said release everything by the 19th, no later than the 19th. And they haven't released everything yet. So yeah, I think the DOJ should be very heavily criticized for that, because now they're just opening the big wide floodgate door for all the conspiratorial Democrats to just put on their tinfoil hats and scream everything about how they're hiding this about Trump and they're hiding that about Trump and they're redacting this because Trump's name's on it. Now they can say whatever they want, because why is the DOJ sitting on it? They were supposed to release it last Friday. And it totally unnecessary. We all watched. Nothing happened. There's probably not much more I got. So how is that deficit reduction going? Yeah, it ain't going, because by passing the one big beautiful bill, they added $1 trillion to the national deficit because they didn't downsize the government, which probably really pissed off Elon Musk. That might be one of the leading reasons why he ended up leaving, because that's what Doge was designed to do. It was supposed to reduce government spending and eventually lead to downsizing the government. So then you could cut taxes and not have to chalk that up to the national deficit. So how about the SAVE Act? So there's that one. All right, so I'll just keep it there, or just cut it there and just move on to the next thing. From the Secretary of the Army from 13 hours ago, drones, they're changing the fight. And in 2025, the U.S. Army led the charge to counter that threat, launching JIATF 401, protect soldiers overseas and Americans here at home. Staying ahead of our adversaries means adapting faster than they do. Oh, you know what? This might actually be what I was talking about earlier. Maybe it's not, because there's a lot of stuff happening with drone technology these days. But that'd be cool, because I haven't seen this video yet. So that'd be quite the coincidence if they show that microwave thing.
Drones are changing the battlefield faster than we've ever seen. They're helping everyone to see, sense, and strike
I think that was it.
And adversaries are deploying swarms of inexpensive drones to overwhelm traditional defenses. Let's jump in. Defending against drone threats is one of the Army's top priorities. We're leading the entire U.S. government in this fight through the Joint Interagency Task Force 401, our nation's premier counter-drone task force. This isn't just about protecting soldiers on the battlefield. It's about protecting your loved ones at home, too. We're working with federal, state, and local partnerships to safeguard communities, stadiums, and critical infrastructure. That's not all. Through initiatives like Sky Foundry, we're also partnering with the American industrial base to strengthen manufacturing and build the systems we need to procure and produce millions of drones in the next few years. These drones will give you the edge, delivering devastating effects on the battlefield. The Army is leading the way to ensure drones are not just used to win wars, but to defend against these same threats. This will defend.
Shit, muted again. I mean, some of these drones are getting nuts, man. They're getting absolutely wild. Supposedly China, they developed a drone that is only a half an inch. It's about the size of a mosquito. And I think they said it had a battery life of like 10 minutes. And it was designed to be similar to a mosquito, where it just buzzes around and it spies. And they can send out a whole bunch of them. And they've got these tiny little pinhole cameras. And they just fly the thing around and they spy on shit. Okay, but whatever. So National Park Service from 13 hours ago. This is Betty Reid Soskin, the trailblazing National Park Service ranger who became the oldest active ranger until her retirement at age 100. She was a National Park Service ranger all the way up until age 100. She passed away peacefully Sunday morning, surrounded by family. She was 104 years old. Thank you for your service, Ranger Betty. And that's Ranger Betty. And that's how old my great-grandma happened to be when she died. She was born in 1904 and died in 2008. So, yeah, she was quite old as well. So that is amazing that she was 100 years old, which also, by coincidence, like my great-grandma, she never worked. She was a stay-at-home wife, raised a big family and everything. But she finally moved into assisted living when she turned 100 years old. So, like, basically, I guess that would be her version of retiring, I guess. All right, so we'll move on to End Wokeness. Not exactly swamp related, but this went quite a bit viral earlier today. I mean, I saw it all over the place, so I figured I would drop it on here. So breaking, beloved school bus driver in Pennsylvania was fired over posting a sign on inside her school bus asking kids to speak English. And they fired her for it.
I do care. I care about it a lot.
Caring is exactly what Diane Crawford says led her to serve the Juniata County School District and subcontract with Rohrer Bus.
I don't know what else to do.
Sounds like Rohrer Bus has too much DEI in it still.
I get Medicare and Medicaid now and SNAP. I had to go on antidepressants because of this.
Crawford says her contract with Rohrer Bus came to a halt.
Well, when? How
February
long
1st,
ago?
after she put up this sign which read, "Out of respect to English-only students, there will be no speaking Spanish on this bus."
I didn't mean to be racially insensitive or anything like that.
Crawford claims she never got to explain that the sign was put up to encourage safe and respectful behaviors and was directed at a bilingual student who allegedly had a history of riling up other students.
I didn't know if he was bullying somebody, telling them to do something they shouldn't do. How do you keep control of your bus if you have no control?
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have gotten permission from the company. I get it. It's ridiculous. She absolutely should not have been fired for this. This is absolutely ridiculous. And there's people in the comments that are suggesting she sue them over it. And she probably could. And she might actually win if she sued them. I mean, if I were riding the bus back in the day and there were kids that were speaking Spanish and they were like we were under the belief that they were talking shit about us, what my friends and I would have most likely done, we probably would have gone on the internet, the early, late 1990s internet, and started researching different cuss words that you could say in Spanish, and then we would show up to the school or to the bus stop the next day and just speak accordingly. That would most likely would be what at least what my friends and I would probably have done. But I guess we all handle things differently, especially these days. So yeah, man. Hopefully she'll get some resolution out of this. Somebody did mention that that she may have started a GoFundMe. Yeah, I smell a GoFundMe. Somebody mentioned a comment. I don't know if I'm going to catch it or not, but somebody said that in this day and age, if something like this happens and you get on the news and it goes viral, all you have to do is start a GoFundMe and you'll make more money in 2 weeks than you did in your entire career. Then you can like full on retire. So I'm assuming she's probably starting a GoFundMe. Oh, there you go. Gifts and Go. Here we go. Let's see what this is up to. Probably 50,000. She's raised 18 grand so far. So that's probably at least a 6 months worth of her salary, I would assume. Maybe a little more. I don't know how much bus drivers are earning these days. And when did this start? Does it have a date on here, or am I just blind? Yeah, I don't know if they date Gifts and Go campaigns. I assume that they would. Yeah, I don't see it, but they're like 9 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, 7, 4. I mean, people are donating by the minute, so it might have just went up today because I think this post came out today, didn't it? Yesterday. Yeah, it came out yesterday. So, or wait, no, hold on. That comment came out yesterday. So, in wokeness, maybe 2 days ago. No, okay. Yeah, it was last night. So, anyway, so that happened. And moving on to Federal Transit Administration from today. Watch down below, ready to roll in 2026 with us. 2025 was a game changer for transit. Don't miss FTA's year-end accomplishments video, narrated by Administrator Mark Molinaro. Watch to discover how he made transit safer, cleaner, and more reliable than ever, including cutting red tape and invested in 2,400 American-made buses. The future's coming. See what's next. Moving America forward. U.S. Department of Transportation. And let's have a look at this.
As 2025 comes to a close, the Federal Transit Administration reflects on a year of progress and renewed commitment to safety, service, and results for the American people. Projects funded during President Trump's first administration are coming to fruition. The South Central extension in Phoenix, Arizona, added 5.5 miles of new light rail. The new Bladensburg bus garage in Washington, D.C. supports a fleet of up to 300 Metro buses, creating good American jobs. In Kansas City, a new 3.5-mile streetcar extension is bringing new economic development to the city's downtown corridor. In Philadelphia, Patco reopened the Franklin Square subway station, connecting workers in New Jersey to economic opportunities in Center City, Philadelphia. In Miami, The new South Dade Transit Way bus rapid transit line runs 20 miles and connects to some of the fastest growing communities in Miami-Dade County.
What about Tampa Bay? What's going on here?
Transit in Seattle recently opened its Federal Way Link extension, a 7.8-mile expansion that adds 3 new stations and was built with $1.4 billion provided by President Trump.
Great,
FTA is spearheading a nationwide effort to make transit safer, cleaner, and more accountable. Pressing systems in Chicago, LA, Washington, D.C., Charlotte, Boston, and New York to strengthen protections for workers and riders, restore public confidence, and crack down on fare evasion. In Philadelphia, we require the transit agency to correct deficiencies in its trolley system power lines after 11 people were injured and 460 evacuated. We awarded $2 billion in bus and bus facilities and low-no emission program grants, putting over 2,400 American-made buses and paratransit vehicles on American roads. We introduced new efforts to streamline NEPA regulations and reduce burdensome paperwork requirements. We also removed the requirement of calculating the social cost of carbon in the CIG program. As we look ahead to next year, American public transportation will be on the global stage as we host the 2026 FIFA World Cup in 11 cities.
Oh yeah, that's something to consider.
20 million soccer fans. FTA has provided resources, guidance, and a playbook to help transit agencies get fans to the games to cheer on their favorite teams. And we continue to work on next year's surface transportation reauthorization for FTA programs. Our mission is clear: to keep improving, keep safe, and keep America moving forward.
All right. So is that's that, huh? This year in transportation, public transit. Now all we need is just for the locals to start voting in elected officials who know how to do their damn job. Try to keep the transit system safe on the local level. All right, Jay Bhattacharya. I still can't say his last name. I probably never will, but anyway, I always try. This weekend, I spoke at Turning Point USA's America Fest in Phoenix. I encourage young scientists to enter the field, not give up, study hard, and think independently. There's no longer a mindset of we are the science imposed by an authoritarian group at the NIH. Academic freedom leads the way to gold standard science. That science leads the way to making America healthy again. And he's got his full speech here on YouTube, which I will link. Probably don't have time to watch it. It's probably extensive. But
I'm a dad, so I'm going to end with just some advice, the kind of advice I give my kids.
Watch the cliff notes, the highlights.
Especially for those who are contemplating a scientific career or for a medical career, just a few pieces of advice. First, be brave. Be brave. Speak up for your values, because if you look at the scientific institutions of the country, it looks very one-sided. It looks like this dominated by the political left. But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
Science
very much so.
has no politics properly considered. So when you enter these fields, be brave. Speak up for your values.
Oh, okay, was that
Remember what got you there. If you know that families are good and are the bedrock of our society, say it. If you know that God is good and worthy of worship, say it. And if you believe that science should be a force for freedom, then say it. I'm a dad, so I'm going to end with just some advice, the kind of advice I give my kids.
Okay, so that was that. Yeah, trust the science, use the scientific method. I mean, the main problem is that they have to graduate from leftist-controlled universities. There's not really any way around that other than just use your common sense. Don't buy into all their bullshit. Try not to, get stuck taking any of those ridiculous those liberal arts classes and courses and all that nonsense. Underwater, lesbian basket weaving. Okay, Peter Navarro, tariffs are a discipline, not a press release. They're an instrument that reshapes bargaining leverage, investment math, and supply chain location decisions. The tariff debate remains distorted by two opposing misconceptions: that tariffs would instantly resurrect American industry, that they would immediately crash the economy and ignite runaway inflation. The experience of 2025 has disproved both, as it has. And they have an article from Wall Street Journal, I believe, that I'm going to have to get around that. At least I think that the Wall Street Journal is one of these. I always forget if I can get around that with Wall Street Journal. I think I can. think it'll let me through if I do this. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it will. Okay, so tariffs are a discipline, not a press release. Measured correctly and supported by good policy, they are an adaptive tool for reindustrialization. And, oh yeah, it does. Okay, so it tricks you into thinking that it's going to work when it doesn't. The editorial report, maybe this is related. Journal editorial report, did the president convince Americans that there are better times ahead? Not really. So the tariff debate remains distorted by two opposing misconceptions: that tariffs would instantly resurrect American industry, they would immediately crash the economy and ignite runaway inflation. I mean, all you have to do is just, look around where you're shopping, whether if it's like groceries or just, like just consumer goods in general. I haven't seen a bump really in much this year. And of course, everything, if you look like over the past 5 years, everything's extraordinarily more expensive than it was pre-COVID or pre-Biden, really. But yeah, as far as the tariffs go, I haven't really seen any noticeable change in anything, to be honest with you. So, all right. Anyway, the White House from 12 hours ago knew, effective immediately, leases for all large-scale offshore wind projects being constructed in the United States will be paused due to national security concerns. Trump administration's pausing all of the offshore wind projects, and I believe that they've got it linked, don't they? They do. See, Fox News doesn't paywall you. That's probably a reason why I get stuck reading Fox News all the freaking time. It'd be nice to have more variety, but I don't know, man. If this channel takes off enough to where I can make a few bucks off of it, that's what I'm gonna put 100% of it into. I'm gonna have to subscribe to all these freaking these lefty news publications. I mean, like Wall Street Journal. It's a leftist, and I'm pretty sure it is. Whatever. Okay, so President Trump's Department of the Interior announced on Monday that effective immediately, leases for all large-scale offshore wind projects being constructed in the United States will be paused. In a press release, DOI wrote that the pause is due to national security risks identified by the Department of War, recently completed classified reports. In a press release, the DOI says the pause will give the department, along with the Department of War and other relevant government agencies, time to work with leaseholders and state partners to assess the possibility of mitigating the national security risks posed by these projects. Quote, the prime duty of the United States government is to protect the American people, Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum said in the press release. And today's action addresses emerging national security risks, including the rapid evolution of the relevant adversary technologies and the vulnerabilities created by large-scale offshore wind projects with proximity near our East Coast population centers. The Trump administration will always prioritize the security of the American people. The Department of the Interior listed 5 leases that will be paused: Vineyard Wind 1, Revolution Wind, CVOW, Sunrise Wind, and Empire Wind. They're all paused. The department highlighted unclassified reports from the U.S. government in the past that have long found that massive turbine blades in large-scale offshore wind projects can create radar interference called clutter that can obscure legitimate moving targets and generate false targets. In 2024, the Department of Energy report found that while the radar threshold for false alarm detection can be increased to reduce some of that clutter, the radar can miss actual targets when that threshold is increased. Yeah, that's not good. Today's action ensures that national security risks posed by offshore wind projects are appropriately addressed and that the United States government retains its ability to effectively defend the American people, the press release states. Well, that is a very valid reason to do exactly what they did, to pause the program until they can figure that out. Although, I don't know how they're going to get around that unless they develop more advanced radar technology. Okay, and then I got this from Chuck Schumer from 11 hours ago talking about the same thing. Donald Trump is trying again to kill thousands of good-paying union jobs and raise your electricity bill. I've been fighting Trump's war against offshore wind, a war that threatens American jobs and American energy. I'll keep fighting to make sure these projects, the thousands of jobs they create and the energy they provide, can continue. U.S. freeze 5 offshore wind projects, sending shares lower. Well, I already read that list of bullet points from Speaker Mike Johnson. He listed, what was it, like 5 or 6, 7 different energy-related pieces of legislation that successfully were passed and signed by President Trump. So the energy industry is growing very rapidly. It's not losing jobs. In fact, it's probably going to double, triple, quadruple the number of jobs in the next couple of few years. So 491 likes, 881 comments. Of course, it's a ratio, and it's Chuck Schumer, so just about everything he posts is ratioed at this point. You're lying. Democrats are the party responsible for all the inflation. Out of control spending bills, $1 trillion for the climate scam, $400 billion for illegal aliens, $300 billion for Zelensky, $200 billion for the USAID scam, et cetera, et cetera. Yup. And there you go. Inflation under Biden, January 21 through May of 24. Inflation, 20%. Home prices, 35%. I think it's more than that. I think, frankly, home prices basically doubled. Mortgage rates, 148%. Gas, 46%. Food prices, 21%. Actually, I think that's low, too. I think food prices were at least 30%. Retard alert, in case you did not know about this. 2 megawatt windmill is made up of 260 tons of steel that require 300 tons of iron ore and 170 tons of coking coal, all mined, transported, and produced by hydrocarbons. A windmill could spin until it falls apart and never generate as much energy as was invested in building it. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. Wrong again. Chuck Schumer. President Trump is rightfully pausing these heavily subsidized, unreliable offshore wind projects to address serious national security risks, which, of course, we just read about. And, of course, there's just going to be more Democrat failures across the board. And you can find that all the time in Chuck Schumer's comments, which is pretty laughable because he's the Senate minority leader, isn't he? The Senate minority leader, I think that's his technical New York's senator, and the Senate Democratic leader. I guess that's the technical term. 3.3 million followers. And yeah, he gets brutally ratioed time and time again. So, obviously the Democrats aren't paying much attention to him, at least not your everyday Democrat voters. Okay, so this comes from Governor Greg Gianforte. President Donald J. Trump just approved Montana's request for a presidential major emergency declaration to respond to the flooding disaster in Lincoln and Sanders counties and the Blackfeet Nation. Thank you, President Trump, for your immediate response to support our recovery. Secretary Kristi Noem, she chimed in too, saying, following President Trump's approval of an emergency declaration for Montana, I have directed FEMA to support state and local partners with direct federal assistance in response to severe flooding. FEMA is working closely with Governor Gianforte and local leaders to help ensure Montanans have access to critical support. No idea if I said the governor's name correctly, probably butchered it, but I've never been to Montana, so there you go. All right, National Weather Service. A large portion of California is at risk of experiencing heavy rainfall and flooding this week. How dare that climate change? A moderate risk, level 3 to 4 of excessive rainfall has been issued for portions of the state today, December 22nd, and again on Wednesday. The associated heavy rain will create mainly localized areas of flash flooding, with urban areas, roads, small streams, and burn scars being the most vulnerable. You could zoom in to see the details there on NOAA's website, wpc.ncep.noaa.gov, which will be linked below. And there's a couple of images of the flooding that they expect to see in California. Day 3 excessive rainfall outlook. Looks like Wednesday, Thursday, December 25th. So over the next few days, that's the range of flooding that they're looking at. Yeah, so there you go. I don't know why they would be all bent out of shape over that. I'm sure they could use it. Anyway, so the Federal Reserve, during this holiday season, scammers are making plans to shop with your money. These scams often take the form of emails, letters, and telephone calls that seek to obtain personal identifiable information that is later used to commit fraud or theft. And you can learn more at federalreserve.gov. And that's going to be right here. That's what it's going to look like. And it starts with protect yourself from fraud and scams, including emails, robocalls, and phishing, which is communication made via email or on social media networks claiming to be from the Federal Reserve when they're actually not. And it goes over what you should do. And there's a few videos that help out with recognizing what's legit and what's not legit. 'Tis the season. And U.S. Census Bureau, 9 hours ago, from families and housing to business and income, census data show a changing nation in 2025. Revisit key trends and research and findings from the year on #AmericaCounts at census.gov/library/stories. And this actually, I took a quick look at this earlier. It looks like there's a lot of information in here if you're interested in looking up the census, the data, the statistics. And they have articles including in employment. U.S. workforce is aging, especially in some firms. And they've got what are veterans' jobs prospects after they serve, and socioeconomic inequalities between remote workers and commuters, general wealth, how high earners help their children's careers. There's a lot. Trends in self-employment among Hispanic workers, business and economy, why own a business? And so, like, these are all just different articles compiled by the U.S. Census. Health, income and poverty, taxes, education. So anyway, this will be linked below if you want to take a look at that. It'll be census.gov. And Jay, here we go again. Bhattacharya, MD, PhD, with the NIH. He's the deputy, he's talking about the National Institute of Health. Yeah, correct. National Institute of Health Deputy Director Dr. Matt Mamoli and I jumped into the viral Pete and Bobby Fitness Challenge made famous by Secretary Kennedy and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Holiday season gains, grit, and good fun. So, here we go.
Hey, Matt, you got a minute?
Sure, Jay. What's up?
We got to do the Pete and Bobby challenge.
What?
Christmas is coming. We got to get in shape.
All right, I guess so. Let's go.
All right. Excellent.
Matt, I forgot to ask you. Why aren't you wearing jeans?
What?
You know, every day at the NIH, we make America healthy again. But today, Matt and I made ourselves a little healthier, which is helping make America healthy again in a small way.
All right. Well, I guess Jay didn't want to do the pull-ups, but that's all right. Okay, Diplomatic Security Service, DSS, was thrilled to be part of the 27th annual Kringle Detail. This is truly a magical event every year. And thanks to Falls Church Gov, BPDVA, so they've got some profiles linked on here. And
so it's a pleasure to be out here today with all of our colleagues across the law enforcement community for the 27th year, joining the Kringle Detail, ensuring that Santa gets out here to deliver the presents and make sure everybody is safe and sound.
Merry Christmas!
My name is John Hampson. I'm a retired special agent with Diplomatic Security. When I was a special agent, I was in Washington Field Office. We came up with this idea to do a motorcade. Since all of us were fraternal order police, we thought it would be a great community event.
With Diplomatic Security, we're almost always working with host nation law enforcement somewhere else in the world. To do it domestically is pretty cool.
DS agents are joining our colleagues across the law enforcement community. We have members of the Arlington Sheriff's Department, the Falls Church Sheriff's Department, Arlington Police Department as well, and the Vienna Sheriff's Department. Real pleasure to join them in ensuring that Santa is safe and his delivery of all his gifts.
So the police departments, the sheriff's departments, and Diplomatic Security has been with us day one.
It's very different than providing advanced protection for the Secretary, but it's a lot of fun. It's a tremendous partnership with local law enforcement and with all the different entities that come together to make it happen.
And it's also been really rewarding to see just all the happy kids. They're really loving seeing Santa, so you can't ask for anything more.
Some of these Easter Seals children have been with us for 27 years. The goal is for the children and for the community. It's nothing else.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Diplomatic Security Service, the Kringle Detail from the U.S. Department of State. And that was the 27th. It was the 27th annual this year. And next year, they'll be rolling on to the 28th. It's a cool program. Okay, the U.S. Department of Education, 12 hours ago on the 10th day of Christmas, Trump McMahon gave to the one with a lot of zeros of taxpayer dollars saved, a billion of taxpayer dollars saved. I'm surprised I didn't say more than that, actually. Billions with an S, billions of taxpayer dollars saved. Okay. They've been doing that every day for the last 10 days. From the White House with Triple H and Bryson DeChambeau, content creator and pro golfer. Not familiar with him. I don't watch sports, but I do know wrestling. I know Triple H. Pro tips on staying healthy and locked in this Christmas season and into 2026. So I don't know. You know what? Quick comment. I don't know why Triple H, he's been in the White House with Trump like on several occasions this year. I don't know if like Trump gave him like an advisory position. I honestly don't know. It It certainly appears that way. Maybe working with Secretary Kennedy, maybe. I don't know.
We are outside of
your
the
Triple H
White
has to
House,
say.
waiting just to go into the Oval Office to meet with the president.
Wait, hold on. They showed his title.
To go into the Oval Office to meet with the president. People asking, what do you do during the holidays to stay in shape, to get stronger, to be healthy? The thing is, I think if you're just trying to figure that out, enjoy your holidays. Enjoy the holiday season. Take time, spend it with your families, do whatever it is to make you have a good time. But do something active. It can be simple.
What I would recommend is not only just through January, but through the rest of the year, focus on every single day doing some sort of aerobic activity, 10 to 15 minutes. If it's push-ups, pull-ups, whatever it is, make sure you're staying healthy and active. We know we're behind screens all day long. We know we're not in the gym enough, but go out and make it a responsibility to yourself to become healthier in 2026. Keep it all the way to December next year.
Just do something, get moving. If America just gets moving, we're all going to be stronger, we're all going to be healthier, we're all going to be in way better shape next year.
Yeah, they're getting ahead of the New Year's resolutions. Everybody's going to try to get healthy. Everybody's going to sign up for those like 1 year, 2 year long gym memberships, and they'll start fizzling out of the gym within a month or two. But yeah, I mean, that's a good start. 10, 15 minutes a day. That's not too much to ask. Okay, the FAA, if you're worried about winter weather delaying your flights this weekend, stay informed and travel like a pro. Check fly.faa.gov for live airport updates before leaving home. And I guess they've got everything right here in real time. National Airspace System status. I would assume they've got an app for this too that you could probably get on your phone. So, yep, they got their menu and everything up there. The weather, restrictions, airport demand, and they've got the live airport events. Okay, so they got closure details. And yeah, so there you go. Federal Aviation Administration. And moving on to the next thing. I think I'm getting pretty close to the end here. TSA, all we want for Christmas is safe travel, and our team at BWI Airport is hitting all the right notes. Holiday travel powered by professionalism, teamwork, and a little seasonal cheer. This is from BWI Marshall Airport. Our live holiday music program started today. The always entertaining TSA Choir performed for passengers in our AB food court. We've lined up several local music acts to entertain passengers over the next 3 weeks. Holidays at BWI. Let's take a listen.
You make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you.
TSA getting festive. How cool is that? Spreading the holiday cheer. The Christmas cheer. Not holiday cheer, it's Christmas cheer. All right. NGA, we're crossing our fingers that Santa's sleigh is equipped with GPS, guiding him with pinpoint precision across the globe. Learn more about our GPS mission at this YouTube video. Let's see. If it's not too long, I'll play it. What is GPS? And where's the volume?
Whether you're trying to find a restaurant, driving to your friend's new apartment, or locating your lost phone, you're most likely using the Global Positioning System.
Okay, whatever. I think we all know what GPS is. I thought this was going to be Christmas related. But anyway, if you want to check this out, I'll have it linked below. NGA explains what is GPS. I think it's like Global Positioning System, right? Something like that. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked that up. But anyway, this is Christmas related, at least. From the Department of War, NORAD Santa has tracked Santa Claus for 70 years. They've been doing this for 70 years. Tracking begins December 24th at 4 a.m. MST. Mission ready, tradition strong. And my daughter and I, we've been following the NORAD Santa tracker every year since she was probably 4, maybe 5 years old. So it's been for like almost 20 years now that I've been following the NORAD Santa tracker. Every day I go on, every Christmas Eve, we go on the website Unfortunately, the United States, we're on the western side of the world, so we get to watch Santa delivering presents all day long. Like, we'll check back on it like every hour and a half to see where it is. Santa usually starts off like way out in like Australia and like out in the Southwest Asia, all the islands and everything, Indonesia and all that. And then Santa slowly starts making his way across Asia and Europe and so on. So it's pretty cool to watch. If you haven't seen it before, definitely check this out. Looks like it's going to be on war.gov. NORAD celebrates 70 years of tracking Santa. Let's see if they got the direct link to it. These videos appear online almost every hour on Christmas Eve. Just double checking. I mean, it's not going to be up yet because it's not Christmas Eve just yet. But anyway, I guess I'm just going to have to read it. This Christmas season marks 7 decades of the North American Aerospace Defense Command tracking Santa Claus on radar as he flies his reindeer-powered sleigh around the globe. NORAD tracks Santa, but only Santa knows his route, which means we cannot predict where and when he will arrive at your house, said a senior NORAD official. Fighter pilots have intercepted Santa many times over the years. When they do, the pilots tip their wings in greetings and often take photos, the official said. That's pretty cool. NORAD has Santa cams in space that take video of him flying. These videos appear online almost every hour on Christmas Eve. Let's check this out. All right, so there it is. Okay, so this is the website, noradsanta.org. That's the website. I don't have it bookmarked every year. I just type in NORAD Santa Tracker, and it's like the top result on Google. That's usually how I get to it. But look, they even have the mobile apps now. I didn't even know they had a mobile app for NORAD Santa Tracker. So, I mean, look at this. They got arcade. They got the theater. They got the library, NORAD HQ, and the gift shop. They even got a gift shop. Man, they've changed this a lot. I don't remember it looking like this. All right, man. NORAD Santa Tracker. Very cool. So, yeah, check back on that in the next day or so. Probably anybody listening to this, it'll probably already be December the 23rd. So check back tomorrow for the NORAD Santa Tracker. Department of Agriculture wishing all a cozy and safe first day of winter, which was today, the winter solstice. The shortest daylight day of the year was today. It was a gorgeous day here. Let me see, does it have the temperature? Yeah, 67 degrees here right now, but at like 5 o'clock this afternoon, it was just before sunset. Like where I live in the St. Pete area in Florida, and the sun sets like around 5:30 this time of year. And it was like 77 degrees. It was absolutely perfect at sunset today. It was gorgeous. So anyway, first day of winter. It's the first day of winter. And the U.S. Department of the Interior, happy winter solstice. Across the country, America's public lands are being transformed into winter wonderlands. As snow falls and temperatures drop, these special places take on a whole new personality, revealing a spectacular wonder. Photo by Lake Clark NPS. Lake Clark NPS. Lake Clark National Park and Preserve. So that's where that's at. Man, that's amazing. Very cool. That is a winter wonderland. And finally, from NASA's Johnson Space Center, from space to your place, happy holidays and a stellar new year. The Expedition 74 crew aboard the International Space Station sends warm wishes from orbit, celebrating a year of science, teamwork, and discoveries that connect us all. And we're going to finish up with this. And there should be sound. There's no sound yet.
Greetings to planet Earth, all of our friends and family from Expedition 74 aboard the International Space Station, flying high above, thinking of you during this holiday season. During this season, it's about spending time with family and friends and enjoying time together and reflecting on the year that we've just had. And what a great year it's been for us as astronauts aboard the Expedition 74 and previously Expedition 73. It's also a little bit sad because we're not with our families at the time. But actually we are. We're with our space family. So we're okay. And we're looking forward to spending the holidays together. And not just together up here aboard the space station, but all of our friends at the mission control centers across the planet in Houston and Huntsville and Munich and Moscow and Tsukuba, Japan. We're all going to celebrate the holidays together, and we're happy to share it with you.
One of the special things about the holidays is traditions. And while we're all away from our traditions at home, we get to enjoy some new traditions on board. So as you can see, we've got a little bit of decoration here. We've got a little tree, and we've also hung some boots by the airlock with cheer. So, you know, we get to make some new traditions here, and that's something that's really nice and special, and we're really glad to be able to do.
Yeah, don't open the airlock,
for
Santa.
each of us here, this won't be the first time that we spend the holidays away from family for various reasons, but exactly like Mike said, it's so special for us to share the holidays with each other here in orbit and with all of the teams taking care of us on the ground. So we also want to say a great thank you to the families who are lending these crew members to us, and a thank you to those in Mission Control who will spend their holidays taking care of us, and to their families at home as well. It's incredibly special to be up here. I think we may be orbiting a little higher than Santa is flying, though.
Yeah, holiday season is also very important for Japanese people. Yeah, in Japan, amazingly, actually, we celebrate Christmas and also New Year again, also. And because of everybody's support, actually, we are away from family members, but actually we have good family, just like family, crew members, and also grant support. So we are very comfortable to live here. And in addition to that, probably I'll provide a lot of Japanese food for you guys, yeah, to celebrate holiday season. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
And so from all of us aboard the International Space Station to all of you, we would like to wish you the happiest of holiday season, the happiest of Christmas, Merry Christmas, and a happy, happy New Year.
Well, it was very nice to say Merry Christmas. They didn't forget to say Merry Christmas. All right, from the International Space Station, going off and doing their thing, celebrating Christmas. I honestly didn't know that they celebrated Christmas, you know, like in the traditional sense of Japan, like we celebrated here. So I'm assuming they get out the Christmas tree and they give out presents and everything. So that's actually pretty cool. So, all right. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of The Swamp. If you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll be dropping a new show every evening, Monday through Friday, covering the swamp and everyone in it, the politicians, bureaucracy, agencies. And I also post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment there too if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.